students, let us study chapter number 1, The White Mice, which is written by Ruskin Bond. Children, this is a humorous story. Yes, this is a humorous story, and it is a story about a child. Yes, it is a story about a child and who is put on a wrong train and who later gets back at the offender, his uncle. Means who is the offender, children? The one who does mistake. Yes, and here his uncle has done this mistake by putting him into wrong train. Yes, now how he gets back at the offender, means his uncle, by using his pet mice. Yes, now the story is a recollection. Recollection means the narrator, the boy, is recalling his memories and is narrated in first person. Yes, narrated in first person. Now, as a little boy, the narrator was put in the wrong train. Yes, he was put in the wrong train by his uncle. Okay, and who was his uncle? Uncle Ken. When the boy realizes that instead of going to Delhi, where he is actually headed, okay, he wanted to go to Delhi, towards Delhi, and the train is going in the opposite direction. He gets down at Lucknow and goes to the station master's room to send a telegram to his grandparents. Means he got down at Lucknow and he reached to station master's room to send a telegram to his grandparents. Now there he meets whom? Mr. Ghosh. And Mr. Ghosh is the station master who invites the young boy to stay at his house till his grandfather arrives. The boy readily agrees. What does it mean? Mr. Ghosh is a station master and he invites, he asks the boy that you can come and stay at my home till your grandfather arrives, and the boy agrees. At Mr. Ghosh's house, a wonderful sight meets the boy's eyes. Mr. Ghosh has an entire colony of white mice. Means colony of white mice, it is a collective noun, group of white mice in his veranda. They are so well trained that 15 to 20 white mice dance on a Ferris wheel in the miniature fairground on a toy railway set. 20 other mice were dashing into and out of the tunnel and climbing atop a tiny train on the railway set. Children, there was a miniature of railway station and there was a Ferris wheel, and what those 15 to 20 white mice were doing, they were rushing and they were moving here and there, rushing towards the veranda. When Mr. Ghosh pushes a button, the little mice crowd upon the toy train as it starts rattling away into another corner of the veranda. Now white mice are rushing here and there, running fast here and there in the veranda. Now the boy is so impressed that he feeds biscuits to the mice. It happens, children used to get impressed by the pets and they used to feed something. So here the boy was impressed and he feeds biscuits to the mice. He eventually falls asleep in an armchair in the living room. He fell asleep. Then, while waiting for his grandfather to arrive, he falls asleep. He falls asleep. By the time he wakes up, his grandfather has already arrived to take him back to Dehra. Dehra is Dehradun. Now he politely compliments the beauty and the agility of the white mice. Means he is narrating, he is telling that how pretty white mice are there. Despite being more interested in the railway set, means he was not interested in the railway set, rather he was praising about white mice. Mr. Ghosh happily sends out for rasgullas. He offers rasgullas to grandfather also. When the boy and his grandfather are about to return, means when they are about to leave Mr. Ghosh's house, Mr. Ghosh gifts them two white mice in a cardboard box. The boy already has made plans to put the mice to proper use. Now they reach it. Where? To Dehradun. After dinner, the next day, he creeps into Uncle Kane's room. Silently he reaches Uncle Kane's room and releases the mice under his bed sheet. Means he wants to do prank with his Uncle Ken. He released the white mice. He released mice under his bed sheet. An hour later, Uncle Ken rushes out of his room screaming about something soft and furry running around inside his clothes. He was rushing, he was screaming. Something soft and furry was running inside his clothes. Grandfather quickly realizes what has happened. Instead of scolding the boy, however, he decides to join the fun and tells Ken to remove his clothes. That Ken, just put off your clothes. Finally, after Uncle Ken jumps around desperately, the two white mice inside his clothes are discovered. Means now they are visible. He, however, is panic stricken and believes that there must be hundreds of mice running around in his room. He was in panic situation. Terrified, he decides to sleep on an old sofa in the storeroom. He's so scared that he doesn't want to sleep in the bedroom. He just decides to sleep on an old sofa in his storeroom. The next day, grandfather takes the boy to the station and puts him on the right train, promising to take care of the white mice. Eventually, he grows fond of them, though he writes to Mr. Ghosh for another pair of white mice. He later learns that Mr. Ghosh had left Lucknow to go to another city with his family of white mice. I hope, children, you must have enjoyed the story.